Well, the few years just before you retire can create a lot of stress. It's what we call the financial red zone. You start counting every penny you've invested and saved and constantly review your retirement plan. And it's definitely a good time for this, but it's not a good time for knee-jerk reactions. In today's weekly Q&A session with Ohio's retirement coach, Greg Taylor of Legacy Retirement Group, he is here to help. So good to see you, Greg.
Good to be back again.
So I imagine the years just before and the years right after retirement, those are pretty much the times when people have probably the most questions for you and your team, wouldn't you say?
They really are, and they're the times when people make the most mistakes, and they have a lot of critical decisions to make.
Okay, we're going to help some people today, starting with Gina in Westerville. She echoes a concern I think many people have. She says, I'm 63. I'm retiring at the end of this year. I have a 401k of $395,000 that has lost $20,000 this year alone. I'm getting nervous. I need this money to provide income in retirement. Am I being overly cautious, or is there a reason for concern? And she has a second part to this question, but we'll start with this one first.
Well, you know, the thing about it is, think about how long it takes to save $20,000.
Oh.
And if you started working when you're 23, and Gina, you're now 63, I believe. So with that, over 40 years it took to get $395,000. So can you afford to lose big time? So what if you lose 10%, that's $40,000. If you lose 20%, that's $80,000. So it's definitely time to start thinking about a transition. A lot of it has to do with how much income you need and what your plans are in retirement, but you really have to focus.
Okay, should Gina consider reducing the percentage she's contributing to her 401k? Is that a possibility?
Well, I would not do that, because as long as the company is going to match, you're going to get free money throughout the rest of the year. Take advantage of that. But now, understand, Gina, you are now entering into the preservation and income phase of your financial life. You're no longer in the accumulation phase of your financial life. So putting money in and watching it go up and down like a roller coaster over the long haul is certainly fine when you're 30, 40, maybe even 50. But now that you're past 60, to do that, what they say is, how much risk can you afford to take?
Sure.
How much are you willing to take? And how much does it make sense to take when you need income? So start looking at ways to reduce that risk and protect what it's taken you your lifetime to accumulate.
Absolutely, Greg. All right, next up we have Ben in Grove City. He's looking into long-term care policies. Said, I recently purchased a long-term care policy, but my wife was denied because of a pre-existing condition. We're told not to worry because men are more likely to need the long-term care.
Yeah.
That doesn't feel right to me. Is there anything that can help if my wife needs care? I understand his concern here.
Well, first of all, Ben, if you just take a tour of local nursing facilities, I think what you'll find is around 80% or so of those facilities will be filled with women.
Sure.
Which means that whatever information you received doesn't sound to be accurate.
Yeah.
The second part is, it would be like putting a security system on the front door of your home because people weren't likely to break in the back door, right? It doesn't make sense if you're not fully protected. Now, the good news is, Ben, that there are other options. So a lot of times we find people come in that they were denied for long-term care, they couldn't afford long-term care insurance, or they just didn't feel like that was the way they wanted to plan. The good news is we can do income planning that will allow your wife to have extra income if she can't perform 2 of 6 of her activities of daily living. So that's a possible way to plan. We work with a great team of elder law attorneys that can help you structure your assets so that they won't be lost if you need long-term care. So there's a lot of different ways we can plan to make sure that you don't get devastated if there is a long-term care.
There are always options. That's the
Yes.
thing. Okay, finally, Jill in Groveport. I'm 69. I'm looking for a new advisor because my old one retired. I'm not comfortable with having all my nest egg in the stock market, but that seems to be the prevailing theme of the brokers I've talked to.
Well, that's a big question that we find with most people that come in and visit with us, is that, 90 to 95% of their money's at risk. And they say, well, I was told I was in a big range of different mutual funds or stocks or whatever, and I was told that I'm diversified. Well, our theme is that we believe that there's 3 worlds of money. So you've got Wall Street. Well, all three of those are viable worlds, but if you only have all your world and you're just trying to divide it up into different parts of that world, you still end up with either too much not making money, like the bank, or too much with time commitments with insurance companies, or too much with the risk of Wall Street. So what we believe is you need a balance of all three worlds. You need to have some in the bank for your immediate liquidity, needs that you have for today and tomorrow. You need insurance companies that can provide long-term predictable income that you can't outlive, and then Wall Street to grow and beat inflation over time.
All right, so you need all three of those.
You do, and you need a balance, and so you need to find someone that you feel comfortable with that works in all three worlds.
Perfect. All right, Greg. Well, Jill's question actually leads us into our next segment. That's going to put the focus on women in retirement. Up next, Greg is back with more advice, and his wife Kristen joining us as well. And they'll tell us about an opportunity for the ladies out there approaching retirement.